Before we jump into this episode, I want to remind you that while Caitlin and Sophia are dietitians, we're not your dietitians. This means the information shared in the Food Freedom Fertility podcast is intended to entertain, educate, and inform. It is not a substitute for medical care. This information is not intended to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor before making any changes.
All right, everybody, this is a new episode of Food Freedom and Fertility. We are here with the Win Wednesday, which is really quickly becoming my favorite segments of this whole podcast series because they are just so fun celebrating these stories along the way and really introducing to the world people in this community that have had some hard-fought wins, and I think that the stories provide a nice glimmer of hope for people still fighting for their wins. So today we have the privilege of having me with you all. Just kidding. And Sophia. We are best friend podcasting. Yeah, I'm just a little feisty after
She's a little zany today.
Yeah, I would just beat the tantrum of a 2.5-year-old that didn't nap today. I won.
That's a win.
So you all should really feel privileged that I'm here because I could have lost and
fear you a little bit.
Okay, so I'm here with Sophia, who's my best friend in infertility victories. I want to say best friend in crime. And we're here with Victoria. So victories it is with Victoria. And she's here to tell her story today, which is so happy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
I'm
Victoria,
really
for joining us.
I'm so excited.
Will you tell our audience, what is your connection to Caitlin and I? Were you working in our courses? Have we done one-on-one work? Are you just a faithful follower and listener?
Yeah, I am, a faithful follower and listener, of course. So I found you guys kind of after a hard time, and you all really, really helped me get going and hop into my fertility journey. So I'm thankful for that. And then Sophia, I did your course, your FNS course, and it was awesome. And then after the course, you helped me go and really clean up my lab work, ask some additional questions, clean up my supplement regime, and just make sure that I have checked all the boxes. And so I appreciate it. So I worked with Sophia.
Yay! I feel like we've been having a lot of these on lately, which is really warming my heart and making me feel like, boy, I gotta tell you, so many times Caitlin and I we're just like talking into these microphones. We're just like holding our phones up and being like, hey, everybody, have you ever tried watermelon? And, and like talking about these things to people. It doesn't really feel like these people are real. But then you come on and you give us a story and you are real, and it's so rewarding and wonderful. So thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure working with you. And we're glad that you're on here today.
Well, I'm excited to be on. You all have made such an impact, so I appreciate it.
It's wonderful to hear. All right, well, let's just jump right in. Can you kind of give our audience the little wave top story of your fertility journey?
Absolutely. So just really high level of the journey.
Yeah, and then we'll zoom in. So seeing the preview at the Blockbuster.
The trailer.
Awesome.
If you will.
I can definitely. The trailer, yeah. So a little bit of a trailer is I actually had no idea, but I was born with a bicuspid aortic valve, and I didn't know I had this, and it was an incidental finding. Correct. So for those who don't know, you're supposed to have 3 little leaflets, and I only have 2. And so some people are just born with 2, and I had no idea about it. And we're in the midst of COVID. I had postponed my wedding, which thank goodness, because I wanted to have a family right away. But we found out that just incidentally, I had some other things going on, but we found out that I had that going on, and it had caused an aneurysm. I had been really sick in my gut, and all my GI issues had caused an aneurysm. So anyways, was hospitalized, told I'd never have children. You can't carry a child once you get a mechanical valve. So I realized, hey, they can't really tell me what to do, right? They can recommend things, but I'm the only one who can make the decision. Left the hospital, said, you can't operate on me, and found another solution. So I did have to undergo open heart surgery in order to be able to safely carry a pregnancy. So I was told, you can have a baby, but you have to have the aneurysm repaired and you have to get that valve fixed. So got my valve fixed. That was a really long journey. You know, getting your chest cracked open is probably one of the harder things I'll ever go through, but had that done, and then had a big struggle. So was not able to find help because of my cardiac history. No REIs really wanted to touch me. And there was a lot I had been doing. So, and we can kind of dive into it, but I worked on my health and everything. And eventually went through IVF, went through it all, worked a whole lot on my nutrition, on my lifestyle, lost a lot of weight along the way, unintentionally, but just as a result of being healthy.
Sometimes it happens,
eating right. Yeah. It happens, and just started to feel better after a few rounds. So multiple retrievals and 3 transfers. I finally was able to have my baby girl. So that's kind of my high level of my journey. If that's
wow.
where you want. I don't know where you want to dig in. There's a lot there. But that's a high level of it.
That is a lot. You've been through so much. That is incredible. So let's just start sort of at the beginning of this, where you wanted to have children, you've wanted to be a mother, you have some health issues, and you have doctors tell you, girl, don't do it. It's not in the cards for you. Your heart can't take it. We need to do this procedure on you. And you said, I'm going to get a second opinion. I want to take a minute out of this episode and talk to you about our partner, Fertility Cloud. We decided to partner with Fertility Cloud this season because we have worked with women all over the nation, and we have heard the same issues arise again and again. My doctor can't see me for another 8 weeks. I had to wait 3 months to see a specialist, and even then, they didn't really tell me anything. Or there's no one in my small town that knows anything about my situation or can help me. And that's so common because unless you live in a major metropolitan area or a place that has grand medical universities, and honestly, sometimes even then it's still an issue, it's really hard to find fertility specialists who can give you tailored, customized help for your unique fertility situation. And that, my friend, is exactly what Fertility Cloud does for you. They offer everything you need, but right in your home because it's fully online. Another perk is they often have same day or next day appointments, so no waiting weeks and weeks and weeks in order to be seen by someone. And my favorite thing of all, really the pièce de résistance and the reason we are partnered with Fertility Cloud for this season, is they have a love and a passion for helping families grow. It is why they do what they do. It is why they wake up in the morning. It is why they have this world-class staff who cannot wait to step in and help you along your journey. So if this sounds like what you have been dreaming of, click the link in our show notes and go to fertilitycloud.com for $50 off your first visit.
And people don't realize you can get a second opinion. So, yeah. I mean, I was sent right to the hospital. I went in for just a standard doctor's appointment. They did a CT because I had been having some GI stuff going on. Once they did that CT, they realized I had the aneurysm and said, you have to go immediately. I was hospitalized. My husband, or my fiance at the time, couldn't even come in because it was COVID. No. And they told me, I need to operate on you and you need to get a mechanical valve. You'll be on Coumadin the rest of your life. And I said, well, what if I don't want that? And they're like, well, this is what you need to do. But I realized that's not my only option. I should be able to look at my options. So I self-referred up to the largest heart hospital, to the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. And they're a huge heart hospital. So I knew, hey, they can give me another opinion. And I did my due diligence, called some cardiologists and said, hey, if you had a bicuspid valve, who would you want to operate on you? Found the best doctor, actually, like there is. And I sent him an accordion binder with all of my details. I sent him pictures of me, my nephews, my family, told them I wanted to have a baby, said I was about to get married. What can we do? And then I got a call the next week from his coordinator and said, this is a really interesting case. He doesn't operate that much anymore, but he'll take you. And so come on up
Chills.
and let's
I like
figure
have
it out.
goosebumps all over my body right now.
But I
You
had to
have family in
advocate.
Kentucky, which is great because it's
I
closer.
do. It's closer. I'm in Tennessee, but they're in Kentucky, but it's closer.
It's
So
closer.
it's about 10 hours from home. It is. It's about 10 hours from me, but I went up there to get that opinion, and they knew that that's what I wanted to do. I found some amazing doctors, and they said, we'll fix this valve instead of replace it so that you can carry a baby. And so
Wow.
that was the first kind of step in my journey, was getting that fixed so that I would be able to. So a lot of people just say, okay, I can't, but this has been my dream. So I wasn't going to give it up, and I was willing to do anything. And I think, having heart surgery is probably one of the bigger things you can do, but like, why not? Why not? So we did it. And it was a hard recovery. It was hard, but
I'm sure.
But I made it through. And I think that the kind of glimmer of hope was, I'm doing this. Like, I was doing it so that I could carry my babies, right? I was doing it so I could carry my family. So that's kind of where we began.
Victoria is like the essence of becoming a mom on purpose. So like that episode we
are.
did forever ago, it's like not just like I'm trying to have a baby. It's like I'm going to have this life-altering surgery that's going to take probably a good year to recover from before I can do anything anyway. Maybe even postpone my marriage because of it. And then we'll move on. Like, wow.
Yeah. It was hard, but we got there. So once I started recovering, and my doctors were so supportive, they knew it's what I wanted. Once I started recovering, I like really tried to hone in on my fertility. So that's when I discovered your all's podcast, and my sister's a registered dietitian. So I feel like I kind of knew a little more than most. And she's the one who actually recommended that I listen to you guys. So
That's
Another
she
artiste,
said,
and
yeah,
you are
what's her
away.
name?
Oh.
Her name is Natalie. So she has her own practice in Kentucky, and
Natalie,
but not
that's
fertility
like
specific,
my favorite
but
name. I named my first baby Natalie.
I
Natalie.
know.
And
And I'm sure she's
the
listening.
gal
She's
that wrote the copy for our website was named Natalie.
The what?
We love
many
the
Natalies.
Natalies of
Such
the
an
world.
important. Yeah.
the Natalies are the best. So she recommended I listen to you guys. So as I was kind of recovering, and I mean, it takes a long time to recover from that, cardiac rehab, all the things. Then I started really honing in on it. So of course, like I did the FNF class, I started tracking my cycles. I kind of thought, and I'm sure you probably have some listeners who think this, I kind of thought I had kind of done my dues. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. Like, hey, I had my chest cracked open. I went through it. Like, it's my turn. When I was ready, when we started trying, I thought I'd have a baby like that.
Yeah.
I really thought so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
Do you
a
all
very
ever feel like
common
that?
thing. Oh, yeah. When we hear people all the time feeling like that. But in reality, you can't earn a baby. This isn't something that you have to be a certain level of good or atone for your sins or have your penance and go to hell and back and now you've earned your baby. It's just that healing is really hard sometimes. And it's not that you're earning anything. It's that this is just what's necessary for you to be well enough to have a pregnancy and a baby.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I kind of thought so. So when it wasn't happening, that's when I was like, okay, let me figure out what I can do. What can I control in this process? So, I mean, I did little things like I started walking every single day, which made me feel great. And I still do it, like tracking my steps. I stopped my caffeine. You know how easy it is. I'm in sales, so high stress all the time, workaholic, cut back on that, right? Started working on my sleep hygiene. So at night, I mean, I was insane. My friends and family laugh at me, but like no phones at night. I'm like turning down the lights, taking a warm shower, drinking my magnesium. It's like the best routine, but it helps. It's amazing. But
It
like
does.
just doing the little things, and I could go on and on. Like eating one time, Caitlin, you said, to eat 5 colorful fruits or 5 colors each day, fruits and vegetables. Like, I still do it. We're doing 5 fruits and vegetables, different colors each day. Like, just the little things that are sustainable, because I knew I had so many limitations with my heart. I couldn't do some crazy diet. I couldn't do anything that I couldn't do for the rest of my life. I can do all of that, right? Like, right. I hate eggs. I eat eggs every day. Like, I know it's important, but am I going to have another heart surgery, or am I going to eat eggs? You know, like, I can do hard things. Mm-hmm. I will eat the eggs. So just the little things, and it made a big difference. I mean, I lost a lot of weight, which was like, I think maybe would have hindered my fertility. I wasn't sure, but and I can kind of dive into any of the specific things, but just like really
how much weight did you lose, and over what period of time?
So over about a year, I lost 40 pounds, and it was just from doing what you all teach us to do. So like, instead of eating, and I always say kind of healthy, right? I knew what was right, but I wasn't prioritizing protein enough. So I just needed to get more protein. I don't love protein, but I needed to get more protein to give me more energy. And then like, even I mean, back in the day, I would like be the life of the party, have lots of drinks, things like that. After heart surgery, I kind of cut back. But then I started realizing what even a couple of drinks did to me. Like how it would make me tired, how I wouldn't want to walk as much. It stinks.
It like
I want to have wine all day, every day if I can.
Yes, girl, yes. Coffee till noon, wine till bedtime. Yes. That's the life I'm trying to live, all right? And I want to be eating scones and croissants at every meal. But this is not what makes me the person I need to be. I can't be healthy when I do that. Yeah, I hear you 110%. And it's so true. Like, it's maybe not even that you're like hungover and you're like, oh, let me like drink a Pedialyte and take some Advil, and I'm like, walking into work with my sunglasses on. It's nowhere near like that. That's like, okay, someone's got like a drinking problem if they're like getting hungover all the time. Yeah. But it's more just like a drink or two. The next day you're kind of like, like I'm not really that motivated to like prep and plan out my meals. I maybe don't care, and I kind of like don't really have the energy to walk a little more or do this 15-minute YouTube upper arm pump video that I was gonna do. And like it just is like a domino effect, like ripple effect, that it impacts a lot of things that you maybe wouldn't think it would impact, but it just demotivates you, truly.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. We're so glad that you're here, and we want to take a moment and share with you about one of our sponsors, Fullwell. Fullwell is a reproductive health company that offers superior nutritional supplements made without any compromise to support women and men throughout the reproductive journey. And today, I want to take a minute and tell you a little bit about one of their products called Iron Bump. Iron Bump is a favorite product of mine because not everybody needs iron support while they're trying to conceive, while they're pregnant. And because of this, I tend to recommend really high quality prenatals that don't have iron in them. But there are instances where you want some iron. When you're in one of those instances, this is a great product to turn to. And let me tell you why. This iron product contains ferrous biglycinate. It's a better option than most of the conventionally used iron salts, as it's been shown to be at least 2-fold higher bioavailability and absorption, and has less digestive side effects. This product also is combined with some other supports that make it really helpful when you're taking iron. Many people, when they take iron, have digestive side effects, and part of that comes because it's a harder thing to digest. And Fullwell covered for that. They included in the supplement acerola cherry, which is a rich source of vitamin C. For iron to be absorbed properly, it needs an acidic environment in the GI tract to do that, and vitamin C helps create this environment. Fullwell's put a lot of thought into this digestive comfort blend so you absorb what you need and have a comfortable time doing that. So head over to fullwellfertility.com and use the code FFF20 for 20% off your first order. And now back to our episode.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Once you start cutting back, you realize like, why did I have all of that? And how did it impact me? So just like little
Because it was
things.
fun,
And then,
damn it.
like I said, I want it to be sustainable. Exactly. It was fun. And it's still, I mean, like, you can still have fun though without it, right? So like we're still really social. We still go out, we still do things, but we're doing it like in a way that's going to support our health long term. So that's just the difference. Like I can sit there and I can have my little tincture of like my nourished nerve stuff in my drink and still feel like I'm participating, and it's not alcohol and it just makes me feel better. So anyway, so I did things like that. But one of the big things I did was I found a practitioner who was willing to work with me, a cardiologist actually, to come off of medication. So, of course, like with I had some health issues before the heart surgery that essentially led to high inflammation in my body that caused the aneurysm, is the best they know, because a lot of people with bicuspid valves get aneurysms. Most don't get them till they're like 60 or 70. So it's just weird that I was 30 years old and it was happening. So I found a practitioner though who was willing to help me come off of medications. So I went from 17 medications down to 1. And I think that made a huge difference, just like when you think about it. And I know y'all have talked about it, but like, what is the purpose? Is this medication life like saving? Do I have to have it? Or is it one that's just making me more comfortable? And are there other things I could do that could make me more comfortable?
Like cutting back on the caffeine, working on my sleep, walking more frequently. I know.
Yes. Yeah, like things like anxiety medication. I think it was having a negative impact on my weight. Actually, I know it was. And then when I started working on my gut health, my anxiety got better. And I just like never really put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. But I was able to work on these things nutritionally. And when I was and cut back on medication, I started to feel better.
I love it. That is so awesome. And I bet like being on medications and heart medications, especially things that are like steroidal, and they can make you hungrier. They can make you hold on to water weight. They can change your metabolism and make it more difficult to exercise, more difficult to eat well, and just gain weight even if you're just not even changing anything. They can really mess with your chemistry like that. And so how incredible. And you know, when I think about it, I don't have a crystal ball, right? And then we can't like see what would have happened if you would have chosen this path versus that path versus whatever. But I just think about people that get pregnant and then heart issues are discovered, and how risky and dangerous that is for mom and baby, and the things that can unfold there. And so thank God that it, happened, if it had to happen before, so that you had done things to make your pregnant body healthier when that did happen for you, so that you weren't at such a risk of if this cardiac issue would have reared its ugly head when you were pregnant, because we see that happen sometimes too.
Oh, it's so scary. I thank God every day. I am truly so blessed that I think COVID happened for me in a way, because I was supposed to get married March 28th. And we postponed. Obviously, we had everybody in. My brother was in the Peace Corps. He had flown home from Africa. Like everybody was ready for this wedding. We had to postpone. But if we wanted to, we were in our 30s. We were ready we had been together for 13 years. We were ready to start trying for a family. If it would have happened, my aneurysm would have ruptured. I would have had no idea. So like, I think that God's timing was just in place so that I could find out I had it and fix it before we proceeded to try to have children. So I feel really lucky that all of that happened. It didn't have to happen like that. So
the other thing that I think really shines through in your story so far, I mean, we're like partway through your story here, right? Like, I think a lot of people listen to episodes of Food Freedom Fertility or take a course like Sophia's or mine, and they're like, really eat more protein? Like, really eat different colors of fruits and vegetables? Like, really work on my sleep routine? Really, you just want me to walk right now? And it's like, where's the secret? Where's the, like, magic pill type recommendation that you're going to give me that no one else had. Just like we all search for like that one diet that's going to help me have that body I always wanted that none of the other ones offered. But one thing that I've loved, and like you're kind of getting this, Victoria, as living proof, but not having listened to the last 5 episodes we've recorded and haven't released yet, where there's this common like red thread through it all that everyone did the slow, sustainable, long-term changes. That even if you did have to go on to IVF to have a child, like you were in a better place to do that.
You were a candidate for it. And that's a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, and so what I want to say to anybody listening to this being like, wow, Victoria overcame a lot. She really did. And I have no doubt that God had his hand all over this. And she was willing to do the not sexy things. She was willing to do the like, I'm going to take magnesium and go to bed without my cell phone. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, there's
Nobody
not going to be a Netflix documentary about that.
There's right. So I just want to I wish I could stand
Can't imagine
up
Michael
and
Moore
shout and
knocking on
dance
doors
and clap
about that. Is he even
but
still
you know
alive?
what I'm saying? Like, Victoria, this is amazing that you did the really not sexy things and they added up to so much health for you. I just love that.
It made so much of a difference, and I knew that it would be a journey. So I wanted to do the sustainable things. And I mean, you know, it's not that I'm not living my life. Like the other day, I'm still living like this. The other day, there's this really cool donut shop that opened up here. It's like these layered, flaky donuts, and I wanted one so bad.
Like a croissant donut?
Yeah, like a croissant donut. And it's like flavors. And so they had one that had like fruit on top. It looked amazing. So I wanted to go so bad. So we went, but before we went, I ate some eggs, and then I brought my collagen powder to put into my decaf coffee with me and like mix it in so that I knew that my blood sugar wouldn't go freaking crazy, but I still ate the donut.
But you gotta go try the flaky croissant donut. You have to live, everybody. And
yes.
I love that. I love that attitude that you're sharing. Because people think they have to stop living in order to get pregnant, and it's not real.
Or like that one outing that was special and delicious is the start of like this shame, self-defeating cycle that like winds up in binging all the donuts or whatever.
Yeah, or like the donut turns into 3 slices of pizza, turns into a bag of popcorn and 4 beers, like... And then before you know it, you're just like, your stomach's down to your knees. You feel like hell, and it takes you a week to recover.
I may have done that all last night. So I may have moments like that even still.
Oh, listen to me.
Victoria,
I'm in no place to judge anybody's health at this point. I'm like coughing up a lung and blowing my nose. Jeez, Pete.
Victoria, so you did these things. It was sustainable. It was great. You lost 40 pounds in a year, which I would just love to say that's a great pace. It's less than a pound a week. Yeah. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's something that you can maintain. So where did things start turning to like, okay, now we're safe to have a baby. Maybe we're even in the wild trying to have a baby and it's not happening. And what's like the next step?
Yeah. So we, during all this, we started trying about 6 months after heart surgery. They cleared me. And the reason they cleared me so quickly was we've known long-term I'll need another heart surgery. So I was told before this one, I would need another one to once I was done having my family, completing my family, to permanently replace my family. So that was a decision I made. I was very informed, and it was a decision I made. But I knew I didn't want to wait too long before starting. So they allowed me to start trying. We tried for about 1.5 years. And, we did all the things. We tracked ovulation. I had my Ava bracelet. I tracked my cervical mucus. Like, I was ovulating. We had my husband checked. everything looked fine. My hormones looked fine. Everything looked fine. But I knew something was wrong. So I tried to get help with an REI, and I saw all the local ones, and no one would really help me. Like, they all kind of put me off. They were very concerned because of my cardiac history. I had my little letter that said I could carry a baby, but they were concerned, and I really had to advocate for myself, but it just didn't feel right. So I went back up to Cleveland and saw that, and they really understood me. Like, when I walked in there, the first thing he said was, well, has anyone checked your thyroid or your vitamin D? And I was like, you're my type of person.
You're
so
our type of person.
This is what we're taught. This
I will listen to you.
What we're trying to do. Yes.
Drop a name there. Which REI
it was
said
the
that?
type of person. It was Dr. Richards. He's amazing. If you really do, like, if anyone needs them, they're amazing up there. But it's not a for-profit organization, so I don't know if that makes a difference. Because they're just truly trying. It's a research hospital. So so they aren't just trying to shove a bunch of embryos or get all my money. They're really trying to get me there. So I walked in, though, I'd been tracking. So I had a feeling I had a short luteal phase. So I came in with that knowledge. So they were willing to have me start bioidentical progesterone. So I started there because that's what I was most comfortable with. And then still no success. So then we added in letrozole. And that's something I really thought through, like the risks and benefits. But I was ovulating. So the idea behind it was trying to get me a more robust ovulation. So we did that. And during that process, I was doing all the testing, the HSGs and saline ultrasounds. And like, we were just trying to figure out, why isn't this happening? We repeatedly tested my husband because, I mean, you got to test the men more than once. A lot of people don't think about that, but just a one time doesn't mean that everything's fine. So we continued to test them, and like, we couldn't really figure anything out. So it was one of those things where it just remained unexplained. And so actually at that point, I had a one-on-one with Sophia, and I was like, I feel like I need to move on to IVF at this point. And she recommended a few more tests. So we did a few more tests. We did like a D-dimer, an antiphospholipid test, and von Willebrand, and test my thyroid antibodies, and we still couldn't find anything. So I felt like we had at least unturned every stone. Maybe we missed something, but we tried to unturn every stone, and then we made the decision at that point to move on to IVF.
We're taking a quick break from this episode to talk to you about one of our sponsors, NutriSense. NutriSense is sort of a one-stop shop blood sugar nutrition solution that works to help you understand the way foods impact your individual body. So when you use NutriSense, you get a continuous glucose monitor, which helps you see the way that food impacts your blood sugar both immediately and over time. And you get access to a credentialed nutritionist to help you understand these numbers and apply new strategies to your life to help you be your most fertile self while taking care of your body nutritionally. Using a continuous glucose monitor was a game changer for me when I was about 6 months postpartum, and it seemed like my body was just responding differently to the foods that I had sort of always been eating. So NutriSense sent me one of these continuous glucose monitors. I wore it for 2 weeks and was absolutely blown away at the data that I found. Some foods that I thought were great and healthy and doing wonderful things for my body were actually causing huge shifts in blood sugar that were causing me to have all kinds of issues like anxiety and insomnia, and just exacerbating some of the things I was experiencing postpartum. And working with NutriSense helped me not only understand what was going on, but have a plan on how to change the way that I was eating to better support my body in this new situation. Using a continuous glucose monitor for you can really be a game changer in your fertility journey. I mean, imagine having real-time insights on how your body responds to different foods, activities, sleep, stress, all the things that we're constantly harping on this podcast. This can help you make smarter food choices, stay motivated, and understanding your body's unique needs better. So head on over to nutrisense.io/FFF and use the code FFF50 to get $50 off your first month with NutriSense.
Here we are, we're doing IVF. You decided that you're going to do that. So what did beginning that process look like for you?
Absolutely. So, of course, I was having to do it 10 hours away. So that made it a little bit challenging. And I couldn't really find the support even locally to monitor remotely. So I had to do everything up there. So it was really hard. It was a lot of driving back and forth, with the medications and the monitoring. But we did our first retrieval, and we had a decent amount of eggs. I had a good amount of eggs, but then just every stage more and more started dropping off, and I only ended up with 2 normal embryos. So I talked to the doctor and kind of decided what's the best step, and we decided we'd do 1 transfer. And if that transfer didn't take, then I would go on and do another retrieval. And unfortunately, that transfer did not take. So we just did a normal medicated cycle. Everything looked okay. And I don't think people realize, and if any listeners out there have gone through this, I really thought IVF was gonna work, right? I was doing all the other stuff. And I was like, I know this is gonna work. And it just didn't. And it's not
Tough.
a magic solution. I was still working.
To the tune of what amount of time and how much money? Do you mind sharing that?
Gosh, I mean, we ended up doing between both of our cycles, because we ended up after this, I did another retrieval. We did 3 transfers. Luckily, I did have insurance help me with medications, so that was really helpful. I mean, we probably spent, I don't know, $45,000, and then maybe a little bit more. But then I also had to pay for my lodging in Cleveland. So I was living in Cleveland for months at a time. Yeah. So I was living up there. My husband was still working down here. He would drive up there, fly up there. My mom's a saint. She would come and stay up there with me, so I didn't have to be alone. It was hard. And plus, so, no offense to anyone who lives in Cleveland listening, Cleveland's not the best place you want to be in the wintertime. There's a lot of freaking snow.
I thought it was hot in Cleveland.
I don't love Cleveland. Cleveland, Ohio? Oh, no, girl. It is feet of snow. You never know. So
it's
it
just
is
a
not
reference.
I'm going to sunny Miami.
Cleveland.
Oh, there
Only
is.
Sophia. Only
It's
Sophia.
very old, but it does star Betty White.
I know what you're talking about.
To me, that means something. I've seen a few
Of course
episodes.
you knew that.
Now that you say that, I know exactly. I can see the logo right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a lot of money and a lot of work. And you know what? If I hadn't put in the hard work and I just jumped IVF, I would be sitting here kicking myself. But I put in the hard work and I still did it throughout it. And luckily, after my second retrieval, I got more normal embryos. So I really think it was my body just needed more time to heal and more time to do these things. So I got more normal embryos. We did another transfer and it still didn't take. And when people experience, it's not a miscarriage, right? It never implanted, but you have so much hope on these transfers. It's a loss. It is a loss. And
it is. That's
really
still your
emotional.
baby. It is. That's still your baby. And I say that to people. I don't say M babies or snowflakes or whatever. I call that your baby. That's your baby. I'm so sorry you didn't get to meet your baby. And that's to really name it what it is. And I think people get uncomfortable with that for reasons, but I think that it's the most accurate way to describe, that's your baby and that's how it feels.
That's how it feels. And you see it, you see the embryo and then you feel like it's in you and you know. I mean, for anyone who's done transfer listening, you have to hold your bladder before you do a transfer. I walked in there because, as you all can tell, I kind of like to do everything very much so. You'd give me directions. I'm like, I'm going all in. Yeah. I went in and they were like, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never seen a bladder so full. I was drinking gallons of water. I was ready for this baby.
The
anything
full
I
bladder
could do.
award
And I mean,
goes to Victoria.
The full bladder award. I was just so excited. I knew it would take, but neither of them took. So then luckily my awesome doctor was willing to work with me because I said, the progesterone and oil isn't for me. Something's not working. My body is not working well with this I need to like make my own progesterone. And I really felt like that was the issue. I felt like it wasn't taken because of the progesterone and oil. So he was willing to allow me to do a modified natural cycle. So I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with that.
I am, but tell our audience.
Yeah. So essentially, I still use medication. So there's still medication involved, but I was working with my own hormones. So instead of doing progesterone in oil, I took letrozole to have a robust ovulation. And then after that, because I was able to track my cycle, after that, a few days later, I actually did HCG. So I did HCG injections
love it.
to trick my body to think it was already pregnant. And that worked. So that one finally worked, but I knew it was going to because I felt different. Like it felt right how my body, my hormones were supposed to be working together. Wow. So it worked, and that was really, really amazing. So after like that journey, I finally got my positive. It was just like the biggest, most amazing thing. And I'm actually a pretty private person. So I'm on this podcast because I feel like it was like almost healing after a journey to come on here. And also just to tell you all and any listener, you can do it, because I don't want someone sitting out there being like, well, I have this health diagnosis and they told me I can't have a baby. Well, they don't get to tell you anything. Like, go and fight. And I'm a fighter. So I just wanted to come on in case it inspired anyone to fight. But no one really knew what we were going through. So then, like, as soon as we were able, I mean, my family knew and really, really close friends. But it was just such a victory to be able to share. And we waited to like 20 weeks because I was so nervous. But it was such a victory to be able to share with people once we finally got that positive there too. So now it's really
literally
exciting.
tearing up over here. It's just really beautiful, and
you are such
really
a beautiful
generous
person,
of you
Victoria,
to come tell this story.
Well, thank you all for being such a part of it. And then, I mean, my pregnancy was great, but it was because of what I did beforehand. So like, I know it was. I mean, I felt amazing during it. And everyone told me how great I looked, how much energy I had, but it was because of the work, right? It's because of what I had done to prepare my body for that point. And like, even being able to deliver my baby, like, so, I mean, you could imagine the amount of doctors who came into that room and told me I needed a C-section. And I said no because I was ready. And then once I was finally in active labor, like it progressed and I pushed for 20 minutes, but it's because my body was strong and because I was ready for it. So like, it was an amazing thing.
Tell us a little bit about that. Did you go into labor on your own? Did you need induction? Like, why were they up and in there telling you needed a C-section?
Yeah, so it's kind of a unique scenario. So I had been like feeling great the whole pregnancy, had no issues. Of course, my blood pressures were monitored really, really closely. I was high risk, and I knew I would be. So I was monitored really, really closely throughout the pregnancy, and which I was fine with. I knew it was part of the deal. But I had relocated up to Cleveland. I knew I'd have to deliver the baby in their special delivery unit, just in case something happened with my heart during labor, because the physics of the body, it's the blood overload, and it really is hard on your heart. So like,
it is. You have a massive influx of blood immediately postpartum, and it's a huge, it's a huge load on your heart. Like your heart has to perfuse
it's a huge load,
different volumes over a very short period of time.
Exactly. So out of an abundance of caution, they wanted me to deliver there. They have a really small special delivery unit, and it's in their main hospital just for people who are super high risk. So I knew I'd be in good hands. So I'd relocated up there, and I was just going for a normal checkup, and my blood pressure actually over the weekend had skyrocketed. I'd been checking it, and I said, my blood pressures are high. They told me, I went in, they said, they're normal here. Don't worry. Went back to the doctor with my little cuff and said, hey, will you test my cuff? They took it. It was normal. They tested my cuff and it was sky high. Tested again, sky high. Anyway, I had severe preeclampsia and we did not realize. But that's okay. So they ended up inducing labor. So I did have an induction. And you know what, though? It's fine because I was prepared and I felt good. Like people say they feel terrible on it. I felt fine. It took a while. It took about 3 days to get into active labor. So I was like just slowly progressing for 3 days. So I think even if I wasn't a cardiac patient, they probably would have been encouraging
Absolutely.
a C-section at that point. I got so frustrated. One of the amazing nurses actually put a sign on the door and said, "You may not enter without me," because she knew my wishes was to have a vaginal delivery. So she put it on the door, and they weren't allowed to come in and try to pressure me to have a C-section because I was going to say no.
I love her. I love her with my whole heart.
Too. It was amazing. It was amazing. And you know what? She was realistic about things because it was 3 days and they were trying to tell me not to eat, things like that. She's like, "You're going 3 days. Like, come on." So I really appreciated having an advocate for me as well. And you know what? I advocated for myself as well.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Hearing your story up to this point.
You're like the advocate. You're in sales. You should be in like foundation work for Cleveland Clinic. You should be their poster child of success. You should be selling people to give money to them.
Well, it's all thanks to everything I learned. So it was great, though. I finally got into labor. And like I said, it progressed quickly. I only pushed for 20 minutes. I felt so strong. I felt great. It was awesome. I did have a few complications. I know, Sophia, you mentioned in a podcast recently you hemorrhaged. I did hemorrhage. I don't know if anyone's heard of placenta accreta, but essentially my placenta wouldn't come out. And it was just meant to be, though. It had woven itself in to my uterus and wouldn't come out. I don't know if you want me to share all this, but
go for it.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
Yeah, we love this.
Yeah, so it
Listen,
it
if you can't hear about
wouldn't come out.
placentas,
So
you're on the wrong podcast.
Yeah, it wouldn't come out. So I after all that, avoiding a C-section for my heart, everything, the placenta wouldn't come out. So they tried manual extraction. They tried everything. They let me wait for a very long time. So pop some pills, please. But they made me wait for a really long. They let me wait. I asked to wait for a really long time. What are you taking?
This is
There you go.
amoxicillin with clavionic acid. Because your girl has a wicked sinus infection. If you couldn't tell by my coughing and nose blowing. Feel better. So,
I'm
Lord,
sorry.
May it be. I just,
I'm
doctor
sorry.
was like, take it as soon as possible. So here we go.
So they tried to manually extract it. So they tried doing massages. She tried to reach her hand in and extract it. They tried to give me more Pitocin. They let me wait for a while too. She was very patient friendly, and I said I want to wait. I want to see what happens because they told me the next move was a DNC if it wouldn't come out. So she let me wait for a long time, which was my choice. But eventually we moved on and decided the safest thing would be a DNC. So they did take me back into surgery. Unfortunately, on the way back there, I started hemorrhaging and lost a lot of blood. So I lost a whole lot, and I had to go under general anesthesia. I ended up being in surgery for a long time. So about 6 hours, almost lost my life, but
lost my life,
me. I got a lot of
placenta. Was your placenta like going up into your fallopian tubes?
It was completely bound into my uterus. So luckily it didn't go into any organs, but it went through my uterus, but it hadn't reached other organs. Sometimes with these, there's a spectrum of accretas. So sometimes it can go into your bladder, it can go into your kidney. I'm really blessed it didn't. It just went really far into my uterus. So they could not. They brought in a lot of surgeons. I had about 13 surgeons working on me to save my life.
Thank God you were in that special unit.
I was in the special unit. I just happened. Exactly. I was exactly where I needed to be. So I ended up, they did have to take my uterus. They did. But,
so
I think it was God knowing I had a hysterectomy. I think it was God knowing that I would have fought really hard for my next baby. Because, as soon as this one came out, I was like, I'm ready to do this again. Like, I want more babies. I want more bigger family. I think he knew that it wasn't the right thing for my heart. And I would have fought till there was no tomorrow, as you can tell, to have more children. And you know what? I'll still
on
probably
our
fight,
side. I would be scared.
and figure out another way.
If you somehow decide to come against us for some reason, we're screwed. You're a tough cookie.
No,
Yeah.
but I would fight. So I did great. My heart doesn't love it, right? My heart didn't love that because there's already under so much pressure. So I've had I'm still healing, but it was great. I mean, I spent some time in the hospital, but baby girl is great. I'm doing well. And I think that this is like the biggest success I could ever have. Like, she's here. I was told she was not going to be here. And I was told that I couldn't carry her and that there was no way I would have her. And like, here I am, and she's the happiest little thing, and like, it's all because of hard work. So
How
I
old
think
is she?
like she's
You are
5 months,
such an
so
inspiration.
I'm like
She's
pretty
5
fresh.
You are. That's very fresh. Can we
She's 5
rewind the
months.
story just a touch, though? We've kind of skipped through for so
Yeah.
much medical stuff. Can we talk about you pushed for 20 minutes and your girl came out? What was that like to see her and hold her and there's your baby?
It was the most amazing thing. Like,
And I
I don't
fucking did
think
this. Like,
And I did this. Like, all the pain after you have, like, when you're in labor and everything, all the pain, as soon as they come out, it goes away, right? Like, it was just like, she is on me. It was the best thing I could have ever imagined. It was scary, right? They induced me at 36 weeks. It was early. I had so many moments that it was just like, what's going to happen? And, like, I did it. And she was here. And, like, everything, nothing else mattered at that point, right? Like, she finally made it here. We didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So
I
hearing
love
my husband
that.
say, it's a girl. Like, we were so excited. And we knew I always wanted a little girl, and I had kind of convinced myself as a boy because I didn't want to like get my hopes up for a girl, but we didn't even have a boy name. Like, I had my girl name since I was a child, and it's my grandmother, my mom's name, and then her middle name is my husband's mom's name. So we did both maternal grandmothers actually. So it was like very sweet. So it was just the most amazing feeling. And I just, for anyone who's in the thick of it, like any listener, it's worth it. Like, do the hard things and go to sleep early and put your darn phone away and don't overcommit yourself. And it will, like, you can do it no matter what people tell you. Because I had even REIs tell me I wasn't going to have a baby. Like, so many people told me no. And I just had to find a way to get to my yes. And like, she's amazing and worth it. And even sitting here having gone major surgery, losing an organ, losing my blood volume twice, right? Like, I got 11 liters of blood. That's a lot of blood, and it's a lot of recovery. But I made it, and I would do it 100 times over again to have her here. So it's just, for anyone listening, not knowing if they can do it, I want them to know they can do it. And that's why I wanted to share my story.
Your
I have two
story is
questions.
a
Can I come in
powerhouse.
hot?
Thank you so much for sharing it.
Absolutely.
okay, I have to hear a little bit of what this was like for your husband. I mean, of course, scary and terrible and wonderful, and then scary and wonderful. You know, like, there's the peaks and the valleys of it, but you know, it's a long process for a fiance becoming husband, becoming dad, to see all of these things. And
He's amazing. I will tell you all, and I asked him if it was okay if I shared this, but he actually used to be an alcoholic, and we had been together for 13 years by the time we got married. We both knew he needed to get sober before we got married, and he went to rehab and got sober. He's 5 years sober, which is amazing. So, but I think, again, with God's timing, we could not have gone through any of this if he was still struggling with alcohol. And it was never like a glaring issue, right? Like, but it was one of those things, he drank too much and he couldn't stop drinking too much. And like, so many people experienced that. And
they do.
he got sober, but it is the strongest thing. And he's so strong. Like, he was on board for everything. He was so supportive. And I think that's what you have to have, you need a support system throughout this whole journey. And he was right there with me. Now, he loves his Sour Patch Kids. That's something I can't get him to give up. You know, you got to love all those dyes, but that's better than if that's his only vice.
We'll take
a hell of a lot better than alcohol.
We'll take it,
I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But he
Abusing
overcame so
alcohol,
much.
doesn't hold a candle to the
abusing
Sour Patch
alcohol.
Kids.
Exactly. So he's amazing, and he was there for all of it. But what's really cool is even we did not expect me to have such a major surgery or recovery, and he has stepped up and has been just the most amazing dad. He hasn't been able to go back to work yet because I needed so much help healing and taking care of me. So he wasn't able to go back to work, but now, so he had to leave his job, which was a big thing for a man, right? Like, I'm staying home and taking care of my wife and my sick wife and our baby and a newborn, and he was the primary parent. And now I've gone back to work and he's staying at home with her and taking care of her. And it's just like full-time dad, like going from a man who like probably had no paternal really like instinct to now being a full-time dad and like loving on her all day. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, and a daddy and a little girl to boot. I mean,
that is really special. Hey, it's me again, Sophia Pavia, registered dietitian nutritionist specializing in women's health, fertility, and optimal progesterone production. And I'm interrupting an episode of my own podcast to tell you about my online course called Ovulation Unlocked. So if you've been listening to our podcast episodes, you've probably heard a lot of things about basal body temperature, cervical mucus, cervical position, and tracking your fertility. Well, I have designed a 90-minute self-paced online course, which I titled Ovulation Unlocked, that puts all of that together and teaches you how to be the expert on your own fertility from home. This course is designed to put you in the driver's seat of your own fertility, not only so you can know what's going on with your body on any given day, but so that if you need medical help, you can show up to the appointment informed and ready to communicate. Too frequently, us women show up to our doctor's appointments and just say something like, I want to have a baby. And the doctor looks at you and says, good for you. Stop using birth control, start taking a prenatal, come back in a year if you're not pregnant. And that's all we get. However, Ovulation Unlocked puts you in the driver's seat, puts you in control of your fertility to where if you need help, you can show up to that appointment informed and ready to communicate your needs. So if you want to become the expert on your own body and your own fertility, head on over to my Instagram bio and tap the Ovulation Unlocked link today.
It's a special bond. So he's
I'm
really
just blown away by this whole story.
So
I mean,
beautiful.
I knew the first part of it. I came into your life about halfway through all of this, but we haven't connected since
you did.
All of this started to unfold. The second half.
No, and it's just a part of my journey, right? And I know that like everything happens for a reason. And the biggest thing, my husband keeps reminding me, like throughout this whole process, I had to remember, and you all had said this before too, you can have grief and joy at the same time. Like I felt some grief. Like I felt grief recovering from heart surgery. I felt grief every time that I had a failed transfer or another negative test. Like those times I felt so much grief, but I was still having joy in my life and celebrating the wins. And then especially when she was born, that was the biggest joy in my life. And then I had my future
taken from
carrying
you.
My babies taken from me, my whole future, everything I had planned. So it was like I felt both feelings, and trying to learn to manage that is hard. But
Really
hard. I think that having support and talking through and realizing those two emotions don't have to be independent. Like I can have both at the same time. And so I think that's just something important to remember as well.
She's like, this was just part of my journey. And she's like, Frodo. Like, I just marched on Mount Doom halfway across Middle Earth and back. This is part of my story. You have one of the best stories I've ever heard, Victoria. I mean, we should give a disclaimer on this one. Like, make some popcorn, guys. Put your feet up.
You're about to get blown away.
They might not believe it. They're like, wait, all of this happened to one person? But no, it's great, and I'm healing, and I'm doing all the things, but here's the cool thing. I didn't even get to share this. After my baby was born, I knew I've told everyone I wanted to nurse so much, and my doctors knew it. I was in the ICU. I was on a ventilator for a while, but I woke up and they had pumped me to get my supply in. And so I am still nursing her. I have a freezer full of milk.
I didn't want to ask
I have
because
made,
I
and I am
thought
nursing
it might
her.
be a point of grief, you know, but like...
Oh, yeah. No, I am nursing her, and it is amazing. It is so great. I mean, I didn't care. I was wheeled over to the NICU because they had to keep her there because I was in ICU. I was wheeled over every day to work on nursing, and I was pumping every 2 hours around the clock. Everyone thought I was crazy. They'd like port my milk through this little like internal health tunnel. One of the labs got it and called and was like, "What is this bodily fluid? I don't even know what this is." And they're like, "It's breast milk." Like, send it to the baby. But it was so cool. So I am still nursing her. I'm going to nurse her as long as I can. And
you do it, girl. She
awesome.
could be a 4-year-old on the playground. I hope you're still nursing
Exactly.
her.
Hey,
exactly. So that was an amazing win.
It was almost me. I would have, if it wasn't for my husband and the Lord God telling me it's time to wean your baby. I weaned my oldest when she was 3, but I would have gone longer for real. Because it's just so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, Victoria, I'm so
for
proud of you. Caitlin, did you have any more questions for her? You said you had 2 questions.
I have one more question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
This is my other question. You're the queen of advocacy, truly. You should write a book also. I don't have an agent, but I'll find you one if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
Like high level, or maybe something that was really helpful tidbit along the way. Like somebody who's listening to this going like, can I hire Victoria to advocate for me? Can I hire Victoria to sit in my medical appointments with me? I don't know, maybe it's a different calling you could do, social work Victoria or something, but like practical or encouragement for somebody that's like, I need to advocate more for myself. I know it. I need to show up. I need to not be afraid to ask questions. I need to, ... What would be your recommendation to that kind of person listening to this?
Yeah, so I would recommend like everything that you do, and this is something I had to realize, like you are going to a doctor by choice. They are not ruling your life. They cannot make decisions for you, and they don't know more about your health than you know about your own health. So you can only share so much in a 15-minute, most of the time, appointment. So you have to, number one, make the decisions on your own. Number 2, you need to find a practitioner and keep going till you find one who will support your mindset and what you want out of life. And then lastly, I think, and you all talk about this a lot, is informed consent. So like you can have the right to say no, and you need to understand what's happening to your body, whether it's something as simple as taking a medication. Why am I still taking these 17 medications? Or it's something as big as, I want to cut your chest open and replace your valve. Like no matter where it falls on the spectrum, having a conversation and calling your pharmacist or talking to a registered dietitian or doing all the things before you do something, making sure it's going to fit into whatever your view is. I think that that's kind of where to begin, and just ask those questions because no one else is going to know to ask what you need to ask besides yourself.
I think that's really powerful. Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for letting me share my story. I was really excited to come on.
Well, we are huge fans of Victoria, so we're glad that you're fans of us. Thank you so much. Listeners, I hope that this was incredibly inspiring and eye-opening and has given you a lot of ideas about your own care and about what you're going to do moving forward for your own fertility health. And we just are blown away by this story, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it. So thank you for the honor of being able to support you as a dietitian and help you along this way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you, for being such a big part of my journey. I really appreciate it. I would not be here with my little baby girl if I didn't have the guidance and do the hard things day in and day out. It wasn't a magic pill, but made it here.
Hey, amazing. You have won the segment. What is your yeah girl? We want to hear Victoria's yeah girl. She can't come on the podcast after being a long listener without getting to say a yeah girl.
Oh, my yeah, girl. All right. Well, today, so my dog, I have a dog. She was my first baby. She turned 8 today. And she is just, I keep remembering, she is my first baby. She was there through all of this for me. And I know people, especially going through fertility journeys, their pets become like really attached, but my dog should not have made it to 8. She has eaten everything under the sun, from used tampons to cell phone chargers, everything, a toy that burned her inside. She's had all these major surgeries. She is going against me for who can have more major surgeries, but she's alive and she's 8 years old, and that is my win, is that we have made it here. And today she's matching my baby girl. We have her, I didn't mean to, but she has a little bandana on from getting groomed, and she matches the baby, and we didn't even realize. So I think that's just fate, and they're cute. So that's my girl.
Yeah,
I will. I'll send you all one. It's really cute.
Yeah, girl. You are doubling down me not getting a dog, though, with that speech.
I had a few cats that ate a lot of things and they didn't make it. So
yeah, you really have to live up to do it. I think I bought my vet's house in this story, but it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
God.
All right, so what's your yeah girl?
My yeah girl. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yesterday we had a yeah girl that was about physical therapy, right? I am in so much less pain after physical therapy yesterday. Like these things that were causing me so much pain are just almost pain-free at this point. And I even did a workout this morning. And in my workout, I held a plank, which is like not been able to do that at all since the wrist surgery. So my yeah girl is that like certain parts of my body that have been bumming for a long time are starting to come back online. Yes, I'm taking antibiotics for a sinus infection. Yes, I'm having uterus surgery in 1 week. So not all my parts are coming together the way that they need to, but a couple of them are doing good for the first time.
Yeah, girl.
This one is, and this one
wrist,
is.
Yeah, shoulder.
Thank God.
Okay. I have a culinary one. Just before we hit record, and before the toddler tantrum, I think I may have, and as it comes out of the oven, I will confirm, and then I will release the brilliance into the world. I may have perfected the perfect at-home, fairly easy to make, like 4-ingredient, high-protein pizza crust. I may have done it.
You are reading my mind. Okay, when I was driving back from Costco just now, I was at Costco right before this, by the way, and I was thinking about you talking about your high-protein pizza crust recipe when we were in Breckenridge, and that's so crazy that you're perfecting it even now. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
I twinked it.
Try it and let us know.
I twinked it a little bit. I'll let you know.
You twinked it a little bit? Not twinked it. Don't twink it.
Twinked it.
You could tweak it.
I twinked it. It just sounded funny. So the first time I ever made it, the first couple times I made it, I hand kneaded it for food photography purposes, but today I was like, I'm gonna throw it in the
KitchenAid with your dough hook
thing. Yeah. And it came together so beautifully, and then I added some seasoning, and I like kind of par baked it like you do with pie crust before we got started. So all I have to do now, because it's Victoria and I are like knocking on dinner time right now. Sophia's still mid-afternoon. So all I have to do is now go like put toppings on it. But my house smells so good, and I think I may have done it, and I'm so excited. And if I did, I'll take a picture and post it soon. And then you can all have high protein pizza and like eat an extra slice next to your extra protein and salad or whatever. Yeah. Hell yeah, girl. It's a pizzeria.
Hell yeah, girl. Pizzeria. High protein pizza. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Food Freedom and Fertility. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share so that other people can find us. Adios.
Hey, it's Sophia. If you love the show and want to continue your health and fertility journey using our resources, head on over to foodfreedomfertility.com for show notes, links to products and services, information about our guests, and our newsletter. Again, that's foodfreedomfertility.com. Thanks for listening.